Hi guys, you're welcome back to Open channel. Kindly click the subscribe button and the notification button for more videos. Today we are taking flange, that beautiful attachment that is attached to a dress or top. To do this, you need a full bodice. For this video, I'm going to start by drafting the bodice again for those who are saying they need to understand the bodies very well. So what I've done is I've drawn the back. I measured the back, which is the back of the client divided by 2. For my client is 15, that's 7.5. So I've also marked the bust line for my client. Her bust is 40, which is 9. I've marked 9. So I've marked her under bust and the waistline, which is half length, that is shoulder to the waist, the smallest part of the body, which is the waist. So I've just marked that. Now I'm going to connect the line now with my straight ruler. So I'm labeling it. That's my bust line, BL bust line, UB under bust, and then W is my waist. So the next thing I'm doing is the measurement of the back. I also mark it on the bust line, so I connect it right now. I did this so that I'll be able to draft the armhole. So I'm using my armhole curve now to connect the back to the bust line, like so. I've just done that. So that's my armhole now. So the next thing is I'm going to measure the bust measurement. Like I said, the client's bust is 40 divided by 4, that's 10, plus 2 the 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch that allowance. So I've added 2. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm measuring the under bust measurement. Under bust for my client is 34 divided by 4, that's 8.5. The same thing for the waist. So I'm connecting the dot. You can make this longer than this. I draft this just in case you want to put peplum or you want to make it a dress. You can make it a full top, and then you can make it half like I just did, so that you can add either a peplum to it, or you can make it a full dress, whichever one you want. So now I'm drafting the neckline. So I'm drafting basic neckline. You don't necessarily need to draft a basic neckline. You can put any neckline that you want, but for the purpose of this video, I'm drafting a basic neckline, which is 3x3. But because my client doesn't want our clothes to be too tight at the neck, I use 3.5. So I use 3.5 by 3.5. So what I'm doing now is shoulder slant. I remove 1 inch from the armhole, so that's my shoulder slant. If you don't remove the shoulder slant, your body is going to be gaping at the shoulder part. So now that I'm done with the the connection and the drafting, I'm cutting out the pattern so that I can go and do the back pattern as well. So I'm labeling it front. So now what I'm doing now is I'm adding 1 inch zip allowance to the back. So the back of this dress for my client is going to have zip, so I'm measuring zip allowance. If you are not adding zip to the back, for example, if you are making shirts, you don't need to put the zip allowance at the back. You don't need the zip allowance at the back. You're going to put the buttonhole allowance in front. But for my clients, I'm making a dress with zip, so now I've added the zip allowance to the back. So now on the waist side, I'm measuring ½ inch. I'm going to cut this out. So I'm connecting it right now to the under bust side. Yeah, so this part is necessary so that the dress does not gape at the back by the time I add the zip to it. If you don't remove this ½ inch, your dress will probably gape at the back by ½ inch. Now, when the fact that you remove this half inch does not mean when you want to put the zip, you're going to sew half inch. No, you're still going to sew 1 inch so that it doesn't gape. Remember, our back is deep at the waist part, especially for those of us, for Africans like us that has so much curve. Even if you're not an African, as long as you have curve, please take that part away. Now, I've drafted both front and back pattern. So that was a mistake. Instead of writing back, I put front, so that now I just corrected it. Okay, so now we have both front and back pattern. So now at the shoulder part, that part from the armhole, you measure 1 inch, like I've just done, so 1 inch. And then remember we added 2 inches seam allowance to it. After the seam allowance, that's why I marked that line, you now measure 3 inches. You measure 3 inches and connect it to the 1 inch that you have just marked at the shoulder part. So I'm writing the 3 inches so that you guys can see. So I've connected the lines. So you're going to do the same thing also at the back. Measure 1 inch from the armhole side, and then we added 2 inches for allowance, which is that allowance and same allowance, plus the 3 inches that I just did. That's like 5 inches. So I'm just marking the 5 inches straight instead of measuring it one by one, and then you connect it like so. So now that we've done this in front and back, the next thing is to cut it out. So please mark it so that you know the difference. Now for this pattern, you can still add your dart you can still put your dart if you want it to have shape. Please add your dart for shape. Add your dart for shape for both front and back. Add your dart. So now I wanted to join it, but I realized that some people might not understand where I'm joining, so I decided to cut out the neckline so that you guys will see where I'm joining and there won't be any confusion. So I'm cutting out the neckline in front and at the back. So you remember we added 1 inch to the back measurement for zip allowance, so and then I did 3.5 in front, so that means the back is going to be 4.5, and then coming down I'm doing 1.5 because I don't want the back to be low. You can make your back low if that's what you want. I'm just trying to do a basic bodice for this pattern. Again, keep in mind that you can put any neckline of your choice. It doesn't necessarily have to be basic neckline. So now I'm sure you guys will now see clearly and understand where I'm joining. So the remaining parts of the shoulder is what you will now cut. So because I'm not going to cut this on fabric is why I'm using masking tape to seal this. But if you are going to cut on fabric, you're ready to cut on fabric right now, and then you sew this part that I'm using masking tape to hold together. You sew it with 1/2 inch. So I'm doing this so that you will see how to insert the flange into the design. So remember, we've done the center part, front and back, we join it together. The next thing is to do the side part, front and back. So again, if you want to cut this, you are ready to cut directly on your fabric, and then you sew this by 1/2 inch instead of using masking tape. So the next thing is for you to measure this. Now you measure it from the tip of the front through the joining and all the way back to the tip of the back, like this. So whatever measurement you have there is what you're going to use to cut the flange. So I'm folding this so that you would understand that on fabric it has to be on fold, it has to be two. You are going to use the fabric to line each other. Please do not put normal lining, use your fabric so that when people are looking at it, they're going to see the fabric both ways. So now I measure 5 inches. So it's going to be 5 inches or 4 inches. If you want it to be smaller, you can even do 3 inches by the length that we just measured from the joining of the bodies. So that joining is 32.5. So you mark your 32.5. So you fold this again to get the center line. So the center is going to be the shoulder. It's going to be you are going to align it to the shoulder. That part where I said you will join, and then you just cut it like so. So you cut it like you're trying to cut out a triangle or a line or gorget, whichever one that is easy for you to picture in your head. So the biggest part is going to be the shoulder. So the straight part is what you're going to align to the seam line, the straight part. So but before you do that, you're going to open the fabric like so, and then you're going to iron your hard stay. So I'm writing it so that you guys can see iron hard stay on the wrong side. Iron hard stay on the wrong side of the fabric. You can use peplum stay if you so wish. If you are doing the one that doesn't need to be hard, if you are doing the frame version of it, and if you are trying to do the frame version of it, it means you have to slash and spread this to give it a circle look. You don't need stay inside this, but your cloth is still going to be double. So I'm opening this so that you would understand where you will sew, because I don't want you guys to assume because that side is folded automatically that's where it's going to be that's where we'll have outside. No, that's not where we're going to have outside. That is where we'll go into the seam line. So the next thing now for your fabric, if you have a fabric, now the next thing is to align right side to right side like I've done so, and then you sew this edge Yes, you sew the edge like that, you turn it, and then you iron it perfectly before you now insert it into the seam line. Remember, if you are cutting this on your fabric, remember to add the seam allowance 1 centimeter or ½ inch to this line on both sides. I mean the center parts and the side parts. So this is how you align it, and then you place the other one, you pin it so that it doesn't shift in the process of sewing. You pin it all through. Guys, please take your time to pin it because it might shift, especially if you have added add stitch to it. It might shift. Please take your time to pin it together. So the next thing is you put the other side on it. So now, if you cut it on fabric, you're going to have full center and then you're going to have two sides. So you do this on both sides of the full center, and then you're ready to, and then you are good to go with your flange. You can make it free, you can make it pleat. Thank you very much. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. See you in our next video. Bye.